What was your degree and where did you go to school?
Well, after high school, I went to the University of Tennessee at Knoxville, and the degree that you get there for the School of Architecture is a bachelor in architecture.
Okay.
Um, and UT, um, there are limited schools that provide or provide architectural programs.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a new one started out in Memphis now, but you got I think Memphis and definitely Knoxville, and then in Georgia. I'm trying to think of the nearby ones. You've got Georgia Tech, and Alabama. You have Auburn, and there are some others, but those are the ones immediately around. Not every university, like University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, they don't have a school.
Okay.
And it's a 5-year program for bachelors, and I think a master's is a 6-year program.
Okay. What inspired you to become an architect?
It was, I just enjoyed, there's various things. I enjoyed construction, which obviously architecture deals with, construction of buildings. I enjoyed drawing. So that's sort of the craft that we use to create, our end product, the blueprints that we draw, and of course the renderings of buildings. And I just enjoyed creating things, just sort of that, just creating something out of nothing, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
It's just sort of an interesting thing. Architecture is a three-dimensional thing. Like a painter can draw something on canvas or paint something on canvas, but it's two-dimensional. Try to look three-dimensional, but it's two-dimensional. Whereas architecture, you're in your mind as you're creating a building, you're not only creating the outside, but you're creating the inside. You sort of mentally walk through the spaces, and you sort of visually see what you see up in the ceilings and around you. And so it's just that interesting process of creating a design.
Okay. What was your first job after college as an architect?
Well, I went right out of college into an architectural firm. I was fortunate. It was construction, or jobs were pretty few and far in between at that time. That was back in 1977, a long time ago. But so I was able to go right into a firm. Many architects, if they can't find a job in the architectural field, they'll get something in construction. That's always sort of, like maybe 1 year of that is good to sort of get a feel of what goes on. But sometimes they get into product sales, selling of windows and doors and so forth. But getting into an architectural firm right off the bat is the best thing, I think, if you can. But yeah.
Okay. I noticed on your website you made Avis House.
Yeah.
And I've gone there a couple of times. How hard was it to plan out that building?
Well, it takes a long time. It's a process, like Avis House. It was a process that probably took maybe 2 years. Not from the design component, but see, the way the architect works is you do what we call a master plan. You sort of look at the big picture, where not only the building you're going to build, but what may happen in the future, so that you can be sure that the building you're going to build is in the right spot, so that your church can, or whatever building can continue to add or grow or in a proper way. So So you go through that process, and then you go through the process of designing the actual building you're going to build. And once that's designed, then you create the blueprints. And once that's done, then you go out and you get bids from contractors. You know, how much is this going to cost? And then once that is done, then the architect works with the contractor during the construction process. So we're out there overseeing, you know, what they do, be sure the quality is good, and just a lot of work involved in the construction. So, see, the construction may take a year and a half. And our process, our design process may take, you know, half a year or something like that. So, you know, it may have been I can't remember specifically on that job, but it might have been a 2-year process. So it's not a quick, immediate gratification of your designs. It takes a while. Yeah.
So this is more of like a social kind of job where you kind of work together with people, or is it more individual?
An architect, that's a good question. An architect's got to be a lot of different people. Number one, an architect is a problem solver. A client will come to us and say, you know, they just don't say, I need a office building with 10,000 square feet or whatever. They just say, I've got a problem. I'm growing and I need more space, and you know, I'm not sure what I need, but you know, here's the things, here's my problems, and so an architect will help a client understand what the solution is to their problem, and our solution is through you know, buildings. So we have to be a problem solver. Number two, we have to be a public speaker. You have to present yourself. Once you design a building, you have to present that building to a client. So you have to be able to very carefully explain what it is and try to walk a client through and explain your design that you're excited about, you know, that you like, and so you've got to be able to speak not only to one individual, but it may be, you know, depending on like Abba's house, it may be, you know, 1,000 people. You know, you get up there in front and go through it. So you've got to be able to speak. You've got to be a technical person. You have to be technical in that you need to know about construction. You know, how materials go together. And then you have to be a visionary. You have to be able to, you know, to be creative, to dream, to come up with different designs and different things. So those are the sort of, and there's a lot of aspects of this industry that is rewarding and but makes it up. In other words, there are people who in this industry that are computer oriented. In other words, everything we do now is on the computer. We do a lot of, in fact, you can see some as you're leaving today, renderings that we do that looks like a real picture or a photograph, but it's done on the computer, and you can do animations walking through, you know, buildings and so forth. So that's a lot of computer knowledge, you know, that you have to have, and then a lot of it is sort of technical in that, you know, drawing line work and, you know, floor plans and that type of thing. So an architect can be, you're into marketing too, you know, people just don't walk in the front door and say, hey, I need a building. A lot of times you have to go out and market, you have to go out and drum up work, you know, see people and speak to people. And so there's different ways of doing that to be sure people get know who you are. But so an architect's a lot of people.
All right. Well, that's all my good questions.
Okay.
So,
well, those are good questions.
thank you.
Let me ask one for you. What makes you interested in architecture?
Well, I was always big into Legos.
Yeah. Okay.
And I would just spend so much time in my room just like putting stuff together, taking it apart and putting it back together with other stuff included.
Yeah.
So my mom and dad caught on to that. So they were like, hey, you should probably be an architect or some kind of engineer.
Right.
I was like, you know what? That actually sounds pretty fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I did a little research before the presentation, and just an architect sounded a little bit better than a civil engineer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Civil engineer is, of course, dealing with all the earthwork, bridges, road works, drainage structures. It's more technical. There are different engineers involved in this industry. There's the civil, as you're already aware of. There's another one called structural engineer. All they do is they take the designs that architects do, and they design the columns and the beams and the footings and so forth. And then there's an electrical engineer. They design all the electrical systems, the lights, and everything that goes inside of a building that involves electrical. Then there's plumbing, which is obviously all the toilets and drains and sinks and everything that goes in a building. Mm-hmm. There's another engineer that's called a mechanical engineer. And
my brother wants to do that.
Okay. Now there's different types of mechanical engineer, but the ones related to this industry involves a heating and air conditioning system. There are mechanical engineers that are more manufacturing, industrial. They deal with product lines, machinery that designed for, like McKee Food Baking, making Little Debbie's. They have mechanical engineers that help design the way all that baking equipment goes together in a product line, conveyor belts, and so there's that type of thing. But mechanical in this industry is a heating and air conditioning system. So that sort of forms a team. So you have the architect, and then you have those civil, structural, mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineer. Mm-hmm. We all come together as a team to produce a final set of drawings. So a lot of people think architects have to be, know a lot of math, but that's true in some sense. But in the other sense, we hire people to do a lot of that for us. So we're more the detailers and drafting and dreaming how this building's going to go together. We'll develop a building and we know it's got a beam and but we don't have to calculate the size of it. We just know that there's a beam there. So we don't get into all typically the mathematics of the engineering. So that's if you like to create and you like to dream and you like this job is a inside job. Typically I'd say about 90% of the time you're sitting at a desk. That other 10% you may be out going to a construction site or going to a building site, where a new project's going, and you have to do measurements or take photographs or somehow get familiar with it. But it's mainly sitting at a desk in front of a computer. If you're the type of person who likes to get out and can't stand a desk job, then architecture is probably not for you. Your interest should be more towards the construction end of this industry. If you want to be out more, but it's more of an inside job.
Okay.
All right. Anything else?